Holy Harry Houdini, Batman! Tiki here, and I'm watching each and every episode of Batman the Animated Series for the first time with series guru and walking encyclopedia of the Batman franchise, Dragon, by my side. How you doing tonight, Dragon?
I'm feeling magical, Tiki, because you see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham, in a way.
And tonight we're talking about Zatanna. That's right, folks. This is a Paul Dini written episode. Dragon, I'll let you get into the directors a little later, right after I get my first reaction. And honestly, Dragon, I was really excited when I saw Paul Dini's name come up, and this was a pretty decent, Bruce Wayne relationship episode. It's kind of, dare I say, it's a little bit like if Mask of the Phantasm was condensed down into 20 minutes, maybe there's shades of what this would be like. But of course, Dragon, we just saw the really good Talia al Ghul episode. And so I got to tell you, between some of the episodes that Paul Dini's done recently that we've talked about, recently in terms of like the, right around the timeline of when this episode aired, and then also just that Talia al Ghul episode, this one's good, but it's not jumping out at me, Dragon. It's not leaping out as like oh man, like a top 10 or anything like that. It's solid though. It's solid. I enjoyed it.
All right. Okay, so a little context. So this was directed by, it was a co-director on this. So rarely does this happen with the Batman episodes. You have a co-director involved. So it is directed by Dick Sebast, who of course very famously directed Robin's Reckoning, the two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's co-directed by a newcomer who you're going to be seeing kind of taking Dick Sebast's place going forward into the third season. The wonderful Dan Reba. Man, I love Dan Reba. Dan Reba's kind of a straight shooter in kind of the DCAU of it all. This guy, he was a board artist on Batman. So basically, he's been kind of in the background throughout the animated series for a while. Maybe not since the very beginning, but for a long while. He's been a board artist, and basically he directs a lot of season 3 episodes, and this bleeds into Superman and Justice League and everything going forward. So he's kind of tied into everything, really starting here with his name kind of on the project, so to speak.
Nice.
And of course, as you stated, written by the incomparable Paul Dini, bringing us episodes such as Joker's Favor, which of course introduced kind of a big mainstay of the animated series, Harley Quinn. Studio worked on this was Dong Yang. We're old buddies at Dong Yang, the house studio, if you will. I like to think of Dong Yang as the house studio, kind of like the house wine. It's always there. When in a bind, you go with Dong Yang. Dong Yang, it's kind of the Dom Perignon of the Batman animated series, one could argue. Anyways, of course, some similar episodes that kind of share some commonalities with this one that Dong Yang has worked on. Night of the Ninja, another flashback to Bruce Wayne's youth for that one.
Sure.
And for the Dick Sebast of it all, Robin's Reckoning Part 2. The second part. First part was done by the A Studio. It was done by Spectrum. Second part, Dong Yang. So again, still pretty good. Those two studios work really well in tandem. Anyway. So, as I mentioned, Reba, again, he started off as kind of a designer and kind of a board artist. And the really nice story is that he was kind of Dick Sebast's go-to guys. And when Dick Sebast had a project, Dan Reba was involved and probably worked close with him. And in a sense, he kind of groomed him to take over his stay, because this essentially is Dick Sebast's last episode in the animated series. He leaves after this one. And he passed the torch to kind of his young protege and Dan Reba, and he kind of ran with it from there, which is quite nice, going season 3 onward. So it's pretty nice.
Okay.
If I recall, I want to say Dan Reeves especially he was a character guy. Like, he really kind of brought kind of the intimate character stuff, which again I believe he was also, because I mentioned this way back when they divvied up kind of the units of Batman. Of course, you had kind of a guy leading a unit like a Michael Reeves or someone like an Alan Burnett kind of overseeing the whole show, and you point because you had like your board guys attached to each guy, and Dan Reba being one of them for like kind of the intimate character stuff. I imagine also on Phantasm, be my guess. He might have had a hand in some of those Andrea Beaumont scenes, which, as you can see, little connective tissue. I think he worked on those scenes. Last thing, this is important. You're probably wondering, why Zatanna? Why is Zatanna in Batman in the animated series? Well, I'll tell you, friend. Paul Dini loves Zatanna. He loves the character. Again, given the man who creates a Harley Quinn, you get a sense of where his character preferences, kind of these fun characters, these fun female characters you can really do a lot with in animation, do a lot with story wise. And he's always been a fan of the character, and in fact, in real life, married a female magician.
Nice, nice.
All right.
Okay, so let's get things started, Dragon.
Okay. So let's see. So we're catching Zatanna's act outside the Gotham Mint. Now Zatanna gets a few voice actors through the course of the DCAU. Here we have Julie Brown doing the voice. Now Julie Brown, you might, for the '90s kids like Tiki and I, we recognize her as Minerva Mink from Animaniacs. Kind of the big kind of femme fatale, sort of like the old, the very, it's kind of the old cartoon wolf gag for the Animaniacs. That whole, anyway.
For the old men out there in the audience.
Yes. So anyway, so Minerva Mink, it's kind of like she was. I think she did bring kind of like, she brought like a playfulness here, less seductive like she's playing with Minerva Mink. Definitely kind of a fun playfulness. She's playing the crowd wonderfully. That's my favorite thing about Zatanna. I think it's the big appeal of the character. I love how she works the crowd. A lot of showmanship for days with this character.
Can I just say I love Bruce and Alfred's like evening attire.
Yeah, I mean, again, I love whenever Alfred's in the driving outfit. He's in the driving uniform.
Yeah.
So let's see. She's bringing the pep and the showmanship. She promises a night full of surprises, and we got some visual demonstrations of this. She kind of magically makes some flowers appear, and then you have she promises a thrill or two, and then there's like a snake that appears around the flower, and then with some luck, a happy ending. She turns it all into bubbles. Man, magic, freaking magic.
Effing bubbles.
Yes. So we reveal Bruce and Alfred in the crowd, and of course there's a little bit of some fun expository dialogue here where he's saying, "How long has it been, sir? 10, 12 years? That, and another lifetime." Oh,
I can relate to that line.
And I always love the warmth and just kind of the history Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. brings with his lines here. He says, she and her father were very fond of you. I was a different person then. And of course, he's bringing the sass too. Is what we love Alfred. That's what we love Zimbalist Alfred for as well. He just brought the wit and the sass with intense, driven, moody. She'd never recognize you now. Right. Oh, it's great. But it's like Alfred rooting for the happy ending, again, a little bit to the phantasm of it. It's rooting for the kid to settle down.
Almost kind of like a Michael Caine Alfred too. Michael Caine Alfred was always rooting for the happy ending.
Absolutely. Set you with a chimpanzee at this point.
Oh, God.
All right, so she's like, if you open your heart...
I had a very specific dream about you in a restaurant in Paris. All right.
Anyway, had to go and sour, dude. We couldn't just leave with the right. Anyway.
Very, very specific.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you open your heart to the magic, you can become a child again. Essentially. And I love that this turns like something into she turns playing cards into a dove. I've been to a magic show or two. I got to tell you, Tika, she's got the gift. She puts on quite a show.
Yeah, I've been to Piff the Magic Dragon, and that was quite a fun show.
I went to Lance Burton in Vegas.
Nice.
So, yes. Anyway, so we have a flashback. I like how the flashback is kind of thematically tied to, again, if you become a child again. So we're going to the youth of Bruce Wayne, again, kind of like childlike, kind of almost like a summer love affair, as it were. So it's kind of nice.
This is a really good flashback, man.
It is. This is my favorite part of the episode. I gotta be honest. Like, and there's nothing against the episode as a whole, but I'm just saying I think we peaked with this flashback person. It's like, this is the best, and also kind of our end scene that kind of complements this flashback.
I mean, this flashback really does just add a rich layer to Bruce Wayne. It's what I love about it is when we think about Bruce Wayne's backstory, we think, oh, he's just going and training with ninjas. That's all we think of, right?
Yeah.
But it would make sense. Like, of course, he trained under a magician for escape artist skills because the bad exit. It makes so much logical sense, and a magician is someone you never think of training Batman, but I think it just fits like a glove. I love it.
See, that's the great thing.
Conceptually, it's so sound.
That's the great thing about the animated series. It showcased like the classic. He became he earned the title world's greatest detective, and the world's greatest not just applying to detective, applying to everything. He really trained himself in every regard. And again, it's not just the shorthand of Nolan ninjas, which is nothing against Nolan ninjas, but it's just the fact that we get to really get a sense of it here in like Brave and the Bold. In animation, you can really showcase that, and that's the thing. The good thing is that we did get to see it in the animated series, and it's really well. And again, they touch on things in Justice League as far when we get further into DC. We reference things. We don't quite see any more flashbacks, but again, we only get two flashbacks in the animated series. These sepia flashbacks we had with Night of the Ninja, and we have it with this. And again, the two complement each other very well. And again, you like a part of you. This is what fuels the whole young Bruce Wayne thing I kept saying through all Bates Motel.
Oh my god!
So whenever I mention that, Tiki, I was thinking of this in Night of the Ninja, like what that show would look like with a Max Terry out.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. Of course, Max Terriot, for those of you who don't know, is Norman Bates's brother on Bates Motel.
Dylan Massey from Bates Motel.
Handsome, charming, rugged, maybe would-be outlaw brother.
Yes. Right.
All right.
So, okay. Anyway, so of course we flash back to, and this is right before the United the Ninja flashback, by the way. This is right before Bruce Wayne set off for Japan, and this is I like that. This is early in the globetrot. Presumably, this is early in the globetrotting for Bruce Wayne. Again, he's starting. I imagine my headcanon for this is he probably saw Zatanna perform, and he said, "Okay, well, if I'm going around the world, this guy probably stopped by Gotham, so he'd probably be the closest by. I don't know if he's in Gotham right now, but maybe only it's the next couple towns over. It's okay, I'm gonna go where Zatanna camps out after I've seen him in action. Gonna be able to get myself out of a bind. Then I'm gonna go embark on a travel of the world. So that's always been kind of my headcanon for why. I'm not saying this is necessarily the first stop, but it could be for all we know. Anyway,
checks that out.
So Bruce is being trained by Zatanna, and this is very comics accurate, by the way. Of course, Dini wouldn't have it any other way. Zatanna the magician, who is Zatanna's father. He's putting Bruce into the Houdini trap, which, by the way, having seen what we've seen in the animated series of Be a Clown, the Joker puts him in the old Houdini trap, with the straitjacket and everything in the thing of water. This is where he learned how to escape that, which is really cool. Get the scene.
Dragon, I'm sure I've bragged about the fact that my local theater Houdini performed there, right? I'm sure I brought that up.
I imagine you mentioned it when we did that episode. I know you mentioned it once. I don't know if it was then or when, but I think you mentioned it once.
It's a point of hometown pride for me. It's we've got that and we've got American Graffiti. Most people lean towards American Graffiti. I kind of lean more towards the Houdini thing.
And this is where the axle came off of the car, and anyway. So.
No, seriously, Dragon, it's like that with American Graffiti. I'm not even kidding you. It's bad.
This is where they threw the water balloon, and this is where Harrison Ford
You joke, but it's exactly like that. That's Petaluma culture for you.
I ain't knocking it anyway. So, okay, so Zatanna is telling Bruce, again, that the concentration and control, focus on them, and you can master any escape, which, as we know, Batman, he has, and he does. So Bruce escapes 6 seconds. He shaves 6 seconds off his record for escaping the old Houdini trap. He beat his own record. Essentially, I presume he achieved mastery at this point. Either that or learned the most coveted of Zatanna's tricks. The point being, he learned everything he needed to learn. And I love Zatanna. She's kind of watching in the wings, watching this all happen.
Yeah, she's kind of secretly rooting for him.
Now I'm gonna quiz Tiki here. Tiki, did you feel any familiarity from Zatanna at all?
Oh,
did you recognize him? Channeling deep cuts into your '90s, my friend.
Deep '90s deep cut. Okay.
I'm saying it's one of your favorite '90s characters too. That's the thing.
Oh God! Now you're gonna put me on the spot. Well, if I'm going to guess a favorite 90s character, knowing what you know about me, I'm going to guess, is it Helga Pataki?
You're very close, but no.
Is it someone from Hey Arnold?
Yes, it's someone from Hey Arnold, and it's not the young Zatanna. It's her father. Do you recognize who her father was?
Oh, it's not big. It's not, well, I mean, all the adult characters are very recognizable voice actors, Dan Castellaneta, Maurice LaMarche, is it?
No, it's not them.
Those? I don't know. I'm so. Just tell me, Dragon. I'm so on the spot
Okay,
here.
it's Vincent Schiavelli, who very famously played two big characters in Hey Arnold. Big
Oh,
one being,
Pigeon Man.
yes, the Pigeon Man and Mr. Bailey, the guy from the Christmas
Oh
episode.
yeah, yeah. Oh no, I
So
did not catch
he's
that.
Zatanna, and also he was in Batman Returns. He was the organ grinder guy with the monkey. That was him too.
I
So
knew
he's.
that. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and also Man on the Moon. Remember, he's the network executive Andy Kaufman has to deal with when he's trying to like freeze them.
He pops up. He pops up a lot of places.
Good
Sure,
actor, and
sure.
actually, I love the. He gave such a great performance here for like this one off for Zatara. I love the warmth that he brought to Zatara, man. That was so good. So he says, "I'm sorry, you'll be moving on." It brings like a theatricality to it. It's like a warmth and a theatricality to the voice. That's what's so good.
Hmm.
So it says, "I'm so sorry to hear you'll be moving on." This is news of Zatanna in kind of the background. It's kind of like eavesdropping on kind of the affair. Really nicely blocked scene too. And I love we get to see so rarely do we get to hear young Bruce Wayne because again he hasn't developed the Batman voice yet. It's still when he's just kind of Bruce Wayne trying to find himself in a sense, where he's just so young and grateful, and I'm very grateful, and you were just we have it's some expository dialogue, but again with that warmth applied to it, doesn't feel expository because we're like 3 months ago you were on my doorstep dying to be an escape artist. I've taught you tricks in my secrets I've never shown to another magician. Where he's going along and saying, there was something in like you could have turned me away at any time. Again, be it Bruce being very humble here, and Zatara says, there was something inside you I had no right to deny, something deep and painful. And that's what I'm talking about, man. That's Schiavelli, gold right there.
And also really good Dini writing as well.
Yes, yes, of
Really
course.
capturing like the young Bruce Wayne motivation.
Only Dini can craft dialogue that intimate, and that I love how intimate the scene is. That's my favorite thing about this Flash. Such an intimate, and not even just with Zatar, but even after the thing with Zatar. It's such an intimate scene on both. Like, we don't have any score in the scene. It's really nice. So, of course, let's see. So after that, it's of course I'm not foolish enough to assume I'm not the only one with secrets. John Smith.
John Smith. God.
This is very clever Batman here. It's like, no, I can't. I want to give my name, especially to a performer, because that guy might draw some attention. I don't want anyone recognize, oh, he taught Bruce Wayne. Wait a minute. That Batman's awfully great escape artist. Anyone ever notice that?
Well, what I like about this, we'll get there, but it kind of leads to a good sort of like gimme with a plot.
Yes.
Right.
Anyway, so again, there's a level of kindness that kind of is factored into the beginnings of the Batman myth within all this, between like Batman's relationship with his mentors, which kind of comes up now and again through the whole animated thing. Um, let's see. So I'm gonna miss you, and I trust so will Zatanna. Of course, we have Zatanna hiding in like the old kind of disappearing box, and he kind of taps on a second time, and she falls out into his arms. And we have this beautifully classy bit, man. This is like Indiana Jones's father walking off the beach after he scares away all the seagulls. Classy, and it's like Sean Connery scaring away all the seagulls in The Last Crusade, whereas he puts on his top hat. Good night, children. And he just walks off. Like,
Oh my
yes.
God. Yeah. Yeah. It's great.
Right. So Zatanna, she's sad to see. I'm sorry. You want to take us through this scene?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, like you said, Zatanna, she's very sad to see Bruce Wayne go, but Bruce Wayne is just I'm terribly sorry, Dragon. John Smith.
Yeah. Just want to see Johnny Boy go.
Oh God, I'm trying to make a Room reference, but I won't bore you with it. No, Johnny, don't go. All right. Anyways, so basically, Dragon, it kind of boils down to Bruce Wayne is just like there's still a lot I have to learn. Zatanna picks basically kind of does the whole pick a card, any card, I'll tell you your future. And he picks a card. She says, let's see. I see emotion, intensity, two of hearts. What's the card, Dragon?
Joker. Oh gosh, I love this. Just says it so. Joker, and of course, again, I think it's a very apt prediction for the future, just with a very appropriate card. Yeah, Joker.
Very much an omen. Yeah, yeah.
Great omen. Love it. It's a fun gag. It's a Dini gag for you, but it's great.
Oh yeah. All right.
So, but again, it gets really beautiful here with Bruce. What does he say?
So she goes in for the hug. She says, "See, it's not so bad." And then Bruce says, "I'll write you." She says, "No, I won't." Bruce is like, "I promise." She's like, "You can't. I locked your hands to the wall." Then we see that she handcuffed his hands to the ladder, but of course, Dragon, with Bruce Wayne being a master escape artist, that doesn't deter him. He makes a big, one could say maybe one of his first proto bat exits,
I
if
would
you
say
will.
the first proto bad exit, man. It was the first one in practice. He learned the tricks of the trade and he put it to use. And again, it was such like a great. This is like again Dini writing, folks. This is, if you're any sort of escape artist, you'll be out of those cuffs and out the door. Now you see him. Now you don't. Again, it's so heartbreaking yet wonderful. And I love Kevin Conroy. I love how Kevin Conroy does young Bruce Wayne as well. Cause so rarely you don't really get to see that until Phantasm. Really. You get to see him go like I don't know what the future holds, but I know I'm going to see you again, Zana. And this is an important detail as well. We can't
Oh
glaze
yeah,
over the
oh
whole
yeah.
Zana thing. I hate you. You're the only one who calls me Zana. I really hate it. So that's a really cute bit. And again, it's a very humanistic bit too. Again, like just seeing the life that Bruce again along his travels. If Bruce just could have let go of the pain, he could have settled in any number of places, but he just couldn't let the pain go. He had to manifest itself. And that's kind of an additional layer of tragedy that Batman with these lovely interactions he has on the road, almost David Banner style from
Oh, it
Incredible.
is very David Banner-esque now that you mention it.
That's great. That's why we need to make the young Bruce Wayne show, folks. We got to see.
Oh God.
Either get Terry out or get Dave, get Mazuz, man. Mazuz isn't doing anything right now. Let's put him back in the set. Let's show the adventures along. Anyway, getting back.
Well, we already had that 10-year time jump, so that kind of muddies the waters in that
Well, yeah, but I'm
regard.
saying that's the show, though. We're in between
Oh
the two.
God. All
Anyway,
right.
doesn't matter. Moving on. So, let's see. So anyway, so we cut back, Bruce catches the flowers, which is kind of appropriate. We had a little bit of a sad moment there. We brightened up with some flowers. We caught the flowers. So now Zatanna's going to get all Copperfield on us with the kind of the big chicken.
Very much so. Yes, yes, I enjoyed this.
The problem with money? You know what my problem with money is? It's always disappearing before I even make it.
And of course, Dragon, I love that this episode basically, the big plot relies on Pepper's ghost of all things.
I know. I knew you were gonna love that, by the way.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
I love
Too.
it. I love it. Of course, one of my favorite attractions of all time, Mystery Lodge at Knott's Berry Farm, was basically one big Pepper's Ghost effect. So lots of cool theme park history with Pepper's Ghost, in addition to just being like a big, like old school magician secret.
And remember,
I could go on and on about Pepper's Ghost.
Dini is a big Disney fan, and he has worked in references to Disney rides before, so it's entirely possible that's a direct Haunted Mansion.
Oh, I'm sure it's some sort of reference to the technique. Yeah, definitely. I mean, keep in mind, it was an old school magician's technique way before Disney. Like, it was.
I mean, you're right about that. And that's in all likelihood, that's probably just him doing his magician research with the Zatanna.
Right.
But yeah, I'm just like, it's still, he put a mice on his side. Like, all the magician tricks I could use, I don't know, doesn't anyway. So we bring out the director of the Gotham Mint, Irving Fontswater. And which I believe is like I seriously, I'm not joking. I'm not just saying this because we just made like a Disney thing already, but it might be a reference to 101 Dalmatians. Fontswater. Mr. Fontswater.
Really?
I think it was. There's like a Mr. Fontswater in the black and white, the kind of the thing the dogs are watching on the TV, like the thing with the thing that Floyd Norman finished, the Adventures of the I don't know. Sorry.
Cut Dragon.
I know. Again, that's what I'm saying. Dini, again, he especially had some reference to Floyd Norman. Okay, anyway, so the point being, Irving Fontswater and the magician debunker, Dr. Montague Kane, who is voiced by someone we've heard before in the animated series, Michael York. It's Vertigo, man. It's the guy who played kind of the knockoff Count Vertigo. He has come back for.
This guy, like, he sounded so familiar, but I couldn't quite place my finger on it.
So for the kids, and I use kids in the loose sense because now they're probably not going to be kids, but you never know. Maybe
so
there's a new
35-year-olds out there.
Yeah, of course,
You
Basil
hip,
X is
cool Steve Buscemi and high school youngsters.
right. So yes, the Basil Exposition from Austin Powers, Michael York, that guy.
Uh-huh.
All right.
We're old, Dragon.
Well, if you think like that, sure, but you know. Anyway, so we have the very earnest Mint directors kind of on stage, kind of tripping on things. Again, counter opposite to him being the cocky debunker, so silly tricks and nonsense. So, very 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 Willy Wonka esque. Very like silly nonsense. No Oompa Loompas then anyway. So he's a very cocky debunker here trying to stump. It's kind of a we're trying to stump him essentially. That's kind of the idea here. You stump the debunker, it's going to win over the crowd. That's kind of the gimmick there.
Uh-huh.
So let's see. So
It's kind of like Penn and Teller's new game show.
yeah.
Which is Dragon. Have you watched that show? That's a very, very entertaining show.
Is it a game show or isn't it then just talking about magic? I don't know.
No,
I've heard of it.
It's pretty much a game show where magicians, basically put their act up to Penn and Teller's scrutiny, and the whole game is to, can Penn and Teller tell you how it was done or not?
It sounds cool. I didn't know that
It's
was
really fun, Dragon. It's really fun. I would recommend it if
all right.
find somewhere that you can watch it. Anyways.
All right, so the trick laid out as it is it's $10 million and the means to make it, being the whole mint. Easy come, easy go, a little vanishing zap, and she does, kind of a little light show, which goes big plume of pink smoke. Whole building, everything inside, gone. And then we have this wonderful bit. So Monty's impressed, and it's a pleasure to be proven wrong for a change. And he's taking this remarkably well, which is not a good omen. By the way, I think I like Michael York as this character more than I like him as Vertigo personally. I mean, he's okay.
I do too. I mean, keep in mind, Vertigo was probably like the character of Vertigo himself was probably the weakest part of that episode. Honestly,
he was, no question. not like the definitive Count Vertigo by any stretch for anyone. I feel.
Right.
Nothing against York, man, but again, just for like a one-off character, not quite the best representation of Count Vertigo. Not terrible, but not. I'm sure the Green Arrow fans weren't happy with that one. They love Clock King, but anyway. So the point being, Monty UK here's this brings like the stuffiness, and I love it. It's the kind of the stuffy upper class. It's almost like imagine if Charles Muntz were kind of like a magician debunker. It's kind of almost the way he's playing. It's kind of the world travel. Given where our third act goes, that's where I'm going with the Muntz of it all. But
sure.
All right, so Zatanna is working the credit. Okay, I'm going to return them in so Irv here doesn't have a fit. Oh yeah, that's all I'm done. That's why I love this Zatanna character. Yeah, just so he doesn't have a fit. He's playing the crowd very wonderfully here. And of course, he brings it all back, but the money is gone. The $10 million is gone, and that's not good. That's
Dragon, holy shit! The police act like. They are on the scene, man. Like I don't know why Batman needs to be there because the police are just like on it. Like I love how there's literally a cop car that just drives right onto the stage.
Yeah, this is so before they can really talk through the situation and she can fully offer an explanation. She's very abruptly arrested. And that's the thing. I imagine because it had to do with the mint, there'd be some security there, and I guess that's why the cops are there.
Right.
But here, there isn't. Here's the thing. Okay, it's two things. The way this scene's always, it's not a problem. It's always kind of like stuck out to me because
it definitely stuck out to me.
She gets so abruptly arrested. Like there's no discussion. There's no let her explain, man. The magician. I mean, I know she doesn't want to spoil the trick, but if it's between her and jail time, I'm sure she's going to explain the trick. and here's the thing. So you have this. I equate it to the Saturday morning time crunch, if this were played, straight, not for a Saturday morning crowd, which again, of course, over the years, Batman Animations really proved it's far more than just the Saturday morning crowd. But again, had they playing with the time crunch that they had, it's like, okay, well, we can't dedicate the time we would if we had a feature, we had more time, or like a mini series of some kind. Again, we can't like give it like an episode of like the discussion, the interrogations. Like, nope, arrested, she's in trouble, we get it. But there's a hilarious, and I'm convinced there's a hilarious animation error in this scene. Okay, I mean a hilarious one, and it's not a visual thing. It's something you can notice. It's very noticeable. I think there was a miscommunication, and this happens sometimes. Usually they can catch it. In this case, I don't think they did with Dong Yang. I think there was an error in transcribing what happens in the script to the animation stage. So the cop who arrests her is reading her Miranda rights. Now, if you notice, he's reading off a piece of paper.
I definitely noticed that, yeah.
Now, I could be entirely wrong here. What I think happened is that the miscommunication overseas was officer reads her the Miranda rights, and he says, okay, he's reading the piece of paper that has the Miranda rights written on it, so he's reading off the piece of paper.
And when I saw that, Dragon, honestly, you know what my reaction was? And this is going to sound silly, but I was like, wait a minute, are the cops, like, part of the show? Like, is this, like, a fake out? I swear to God, because it was like the cop reading the paper as if he's reading the script, and then, you know, the cop car just, you know, by happenstance pulling up onto the stage. The whole thing kind of felt a little staged. I don't know. It's weird. It's a very uncanny little scene.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, I think just there's the egregious animation error from miscommunication overseas. I want to say that's the case. If so, it's hysterical. All right, so Zatanna's being led away. She's being put in kind of these kind of SWAT man / kind of prison transport. Same vehicle they use, just they put all the SWAT guys in there. In this case, it's prison transport as well. So I love like the bread box design of that thing too. By the way, because there's like that thing that opens up in the back. Really, I've always loved the design of that thing. A lot of really great 40s-esque designs. Anyway, this never happens to me in Vegas. Of course, people losing money all the time in Vegas would never happen to her in Vegas. So she's taken away in the SWAT van, and of course you have this conversation between Batman and Alfred here. Bruce kind of like using the Batman voice as well here, just saying she's been set up. And I love Alfred here. It's great dialogue, but I love it's kind of Alfred illustrating kind of the dilemma for the folks. It's very 40s-esque. It feels like almost like a radio show of Batman here. Alfred is kind of setting up the stakes here. It was well, yes, so given she's the essentially saying, that's true. She has been set up, but she's the only suspect, so the police must hold her. It's such duty within the way Alfred says that. You know, the police must hold her. They're compelled to hold her, which means, oh boy, if Batman doesn't interact, she's in trouble. Mm-hmm. Which, of course, Batman frames, which would give the thief time to escape. I can't let that happen. And then Alfred's, again, infusing a little bit of that, come on, man, you could have settled down with her. Just infusing a little bit here. Alfred is kind of blending. Again, Alfred's wonderfully blending the mission, which is what Batman's going to focus on right now, as well as the personal stakes in the matter. More importantly, you can't refuse. You can't.
Turn your back on an old friend.
You can't turn your back on an old friend. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Batman springs Zatanna, which leaves kind of an empty transport for the cop, which I believe same cop from Perchance the Dream, by the way, same model of cop from Perchance the Dream was chasing Bruce Wayne in that episode.
Well, what do you know?
Yeah, a little fun fact for the kids. Anyway, so
again for the 30-year-olds.
Well, again, there are gonna be new kids watching the binging through the show. Don't get all semantical with me. Anyway. I do like this. I love the
show's for old people.
Anyway, thanks for giving us all bone spurs, mister. Anyway, so I love the handcuff bit too. There's a little nod to the flashback. We see a little handcuff just kind of like clinging to like the railing. So again, much like when Bruce left the scene in the flashback, kind of doing that here, a little like connective tissue there visually.
Uh-huh.
Right, so we're in the Batmobile. He sprung the magician, and now we're I love the exchange of pleasantries here. And we're putting Batman in such an unusual space because again he's kind of juggling the the business and the pleasure here. Because again he's happy to see his old friend, but also again he's a different person now. He's wrapped up in the mission. He's kind of helping her professionally. So it's like nice car, thanks. It's like I'm just saying thanks for a nice car, really nice.
Chicks dig the car.
They do that. They do. So Batman offers to help her prove that she was framed. Of course, she's asking like, "What is this?" Just should I ask? Do you have the line specifically?
Oh, why do you care about some Lady Dame in nylons? Or have I answered my own question?
Yeah, some leggy dame in nylons. Have I answered
my own question?
Yes, really great. By the way, a little thing too is that over time, because it's really hard animation, she actually gets real nylons later on. Like right now, it's just like they it's like she has like the flesh toned legs. Later on, they give her like the full like the gray nylons, but there's too many lines for them to animate. That's why they don't have the lines on her here. So, like in Justice League, by the time we get like Justice League Unlimited, when she comes back, it's like full full nylons and like the lines and the stripes and everything.
Right, right. The whole like magician's garb. Sure.
Yeah, because basically, I think the fear was that it would be like a pig pen sort of effect. If every time she moved, the lines would have been going crazy. That's kind of the.
Oh, ooh, like have you seen Chowder?
Yeah, I've seen Chowder, but that's I don't think yeah, it's Chowder, but it wouldn't be.
You know what I'm talking about? I mean,
exactly
Chowder does it well. Chowder does it stylistically.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying I could see like I could see it like I could see a Chowder style effect done badly.
Yeah, well, yeah, essentially, yeah.
That's what I'm picturing, anyways.
So yeah, we could have turned out like that, but not as planned. Okay, so Batman's just saying, okay, well, if you want to go it alone, he pulls over the Batmobile. It's like, okay, well, you want to go it alone? It's just, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just having a bad day. I love how earnest she is, man. That's what I'm saying. Zatanna's awesome.
I love how Batman's just kind of playing tough parent too. Like, don't make me turn this car around.
It's like, hey, it's almost like the father dropping the teenage daughter off at school. She just want to be seen. Like, okay, I'll drop you off here. Like, I'll drop you off in front of your friends. Don't make me. That sort of thing. All right, so anyway, so the two of them are now buddies. They're teamed up. It's a buddy adventure.
Oh God.
So then they're going to check the Gotham Mint for clues. Bullock has a little cameo. Just kind of walks on by.
Yeah. I like that little cameo.
Let's see. The two of them sneak into the Mint looking for clues, basically where the act was held. It's kind of a crime scene now. They find Batman. Really great detective stuff here. Again, this is Dini doing his detective work here, and he loves doing this detective stuff with Bruce and Batman alike, where he finds some markings of something was moved here, like a giant thing was moved across the floor, and there are shards of what they think are glass, but then recognizes pieces of mirror, and then we get your bit. Why don't you tell them?
Well, basically, the money was stolen before she even got there because the mirror was used to, essentially reflect money.
Yes.
Reflect a hologram of where the money actually was.
Exactly. She does her act as well. She's like a hologram. What's the term, Tiki? The
Pepper's ghost.
The old Pepper's ghost effect, yes.
The old Pepper's ghost.
This is funny, too. She's saying, oh, yeah, take the mystery out of life, why don't you? Just like, yeah, I know you're the detective. You're kind of taking the mystery out of what I do here, man. So then we reveal, so again, how would they reflect the other money? We reveal how would they hide a mirror that fast? Well, it's hidden behind a fake coin. That's the display coin for the Mint. So that's it's like this little tarp over a mirror, essentially.
Uh-huh.
Really good reveal of that, too. I still don't fully get how it works, but it's cool. I
honestly don't fully admit how it works either, Dragon. I must admit, even though I know about Pepper's ghost.
That's what I'm saying. I know how, based on what Batman says and based on the effect, I get how it worked. I mean, how he hid the mirror, how that worked.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what he did. I'm saying how he hid it within the coin is what I don't. I don't know. I think the implication I always got is that it's like if you put enough light through the thing, it's still going to work as a mirror. I guess. I don't know. That's the only logic I have. Basically, because Batman ripped it dramatically. I don't think it's supposed to tear like that. It doesn't matter. The point being, it's cool. It's cool detective stuff. Anyway. All right. So let's see. So okay, they took the money beforehand and faked it during a trick. The two then vanish before a guard catches them. So now, Batman suspects the man behind this. Basically, another magician would be able to do this, or somebody who knows the methods of magician. Therefore, suspect number one for them is Montague Kane. As Zatanna puts it, he's been ripping off illusionists for years. Yeah, it could be him.
Mm-hmm.
So Batman offers to handle this all by himself and drop her off. What happens?
Well, she's like, no, that ain't happening. This is my fight, basically.
Yeah. And Batman's asking, okay, well, fine. You want to? That's all right. You want to come with me? Sure. Do you want me to? I love this. This is like such a rare shade on Batman. It's him again mixing the business and the personal here, where it's like, do you want me to tell? You have a message you want to relay to any friends, family?
Oh yeah, you're right. I love this. And then he's like, husbands, And
And of
Kevin
course,
Conroy, you could just tell there's like just a twinge of a twinge of hopefulness when she doesn't have a husband, you know.
yeah, just no time for a husband or any of that. Pulling rabbits out of hats, 52 weeks a year. Right.
All right, fun stuff, fun stuff. Deanie knows how
Besides,
to write good relationship stuff.
speaking of which, now we get to the this is what melts my heart with the Deanie writing. It's kind of a three-part thing for the episode from this whole flashback narrative. We have the flashback, we have the addressment of it here, and then we have the end, the kind of the big payoff at the end. So this is the second part, I love your verses. Besides, she's keeping the act alive since her father passed. And by the way, little fun fact about Zatanna. So of course, Zatanna is an actual. She's not just like a gimmick magician. It's like she actually does have magical abilities. But I want to say
I kind of put that together based on how you were talking about her. Yeah.
So I think at this point, my logic, and I think again, it's like the anime series' take on it. Again, they know they're going to get a whole DCAU, so I'm sure if they knew, then they might have. As far as they're concerned, it was just like a one-off, and maybe we can't really introduce full-on magic in the Batman. So let's start her off as he was kind of a magician. I think the way the Zatanna thing goes is that she starts off learning just the illusions and everything, because Zatara was just was a classically trained magician, who I believe then discovered legit magic, and I believe that's kind of what happened with Zatanna here. Like in the animated series at this point, this is her pre-magic. I want to say she went on an adventure, like her father disappeared, and she went to find her father, and that's how she found magic. I think that's how the story goes. And I guess at this point, she hasn't gone on an adventure kind of set off by after the death of her father, would be my guess. So this is like her right before she goes on like her big magical Doctor Strange-esque adventure where she learns magic.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So that's my logic. Because by the time we get to Justice League, she actually has magic and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so here's where we're getting to the beautiful relationship stuff at all here. So, like, I'm sorry, I saw your father. She says, I'm sorry, I saw your father perform once when I was younger. He was great. And Zatanna, she says, have we met before? She says, no, I just have that kind of face.
Yeah, he says under the cowl.
Yeah, this is really cool, though. It's really cool. That has no connection directly to the animated series, but Paul Dini, he wrote a few Batman comics, and he had this excellent story, Tiki, where we learned about how Thomas and Martha Wayne met, and the idea was that Thomas Wayne was friends with Zatara, and the two of them would pick up girls together, and then through an
really?
Yeah, so that's how like, and basically in the comics, the way they did it is that Bruce Wayne did train with Zatara, it's not as like he does in the animated series. Really, he trained with Zatara, but he went under Bruce Wayne. That's why Zatara trained, because he felt guilty about he had a connection to Thomas Wayne. He kind of blamed himself in part for things. And the point being was like a whole thing. I won't bore you with the details, but the idea like they were like they were friends and they kind of like picked up chicks together.
No, that's cool. That's cool. That's an interesting little wrinkle there for Zatara.
Yeah, and he kind of like led to him like meeting Martha for the first time. It didn't go well, and then eventually the Thomas and Martha they started to get along over time. It was a really nice story. It's really great Dini writing as well there. So okay. Okay, getting back on police. We're at Kane's mansion. No, not that Kane's mansion. We're at Montague Kane's mansion.
Yes, and I love how Kane's mansion is basically like kind of like this giant like it's just it's a mismatch of like different like like how would you put it, Dragon? Just the different architecture. It's almost like a museum.
Yeah, it's very mausoleum-esque. It's got
right.
It's a world travel. Again, we kind of glimpse this in some things with magicians, where they're world travelers. They go to a lot of places. They kind of collect a lot of iniquities, and in this case, like other like magic memorabilia, if you will. So, the whole thing is an erudite quality, maybe a little Citizen Kane-esque, if you will. Reminds me again a lot of Charles Muntz quality. Again, the world traveler having all these totems, and again knowing that Kane is also kind of a fan of the aerial travel. Makes sense. So there's great design work all throughout his mansion here, and again fits in the kind of the eccentric magician's high-priced mansion. So the two walk in. Essentially, they walk into like the main study, which is a trap. Where of course we think Kane's monologuing, and it's a tape recorder. And of course, when they run back out, I love the logic. Like they walked over the trap door, activating it. And of course, when they walk back to get out of the room, they fall down the trap hole into a lovely nod to the '60s Batman.
Oh yeah,
so much.
Oh, yeah, this is great.
One of my favorite death traps from 60s Batman, by the way. Everyone goes to the Clam. They're always talking about the Clam because Robin actually got swallowed, and that's where the cliffhanger was. But seriously, this is a good cliffhanger, though. This is a great death trap where Batman in kind of like in the spike room, the spike wall, death trap.
The spikes are legitimately, like, intimidating in this instance.
Yeah, in this instance especially, yeah. So we have
I feel like in the 60s, Batman, you could tell they were foam, but here it's like obviously through the power of animation, it's, you really don't know how we're going to get out of this one.
Yeah, and like really tall spikes too, like really thick metal. Yes, absolutely. So, and of course, I love a little nod to the 60s Batman here with Monty O'Kane, where he says, a little cliche, but effective nonetheless. Like, yeah, a little nod to 60s Batman. It's pretty cool. All right, so basically the two of them are trapped. They're in this spike room, which is closing, and they're gonna be skewered. It's not gonna be pretty. Batman, he uses again more gadgets here, using the old acid vial and within the utility belt. He uses on a few of the spikes, melts through the metal. He takes two spikes, really inventive here. He jams one of the spikes on one of the walls, slowing it. And again, this is the escape artistry paying off in a big way. He jams one of them to slow the wall to a stop while the other one's kind of coming in, and he basically climbs up uses the spikes to climb out of the room, really inventive. And he kind of like uses the other spike in his hand to kind of loosen the opening to the trap door so they can get out. And of course, as they're climbing up and they're about to get out, the spike used to jam up the wall. It's going loose. The thing's closing in. They get out at just the last second.
Yeah, really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Like you mentioned, it's a really good cut to commercial as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So Batman recalls Kane monologuing about he says like winging, and essentially he looks at the room, little makeshift detective work here. He sees like all of Kane's kind of aircraft memorabilia and like all like the placards and everything. He kind of sees like the vehicle that he owns, this giant aircraft.
Oh, I'm kind of seeing the Charles Muntz of it all now, Dragon.
Mm-hmm. That's what
together.
I'm saying. So so we then transition to the giant aircraft wing, a little world's finest S2. Remember Joker hijacking Lex Luthor's giant like wing thing? Gotta remind me of that too. So let's see, very dirigible. It's very much like a luxurious dirigible in a sense on the inside. It reminded me a lot of like the dirigible from The Last Crusade too, like another little casual, like the whole no ticket, that whole thing. All right, so Kane's toasting to his to non-extradition laws and victory with his men. Essentially, the idea of like they've stolen the $10 million, it's aboard the thing, they're going to get out of there, and it'll be a happy ending for them. But interrupted by the Batman. I love that Kane is impressed with Batman. You escaped and you solved my little clue.
It's almost like Kane would be like he's like a would-be mentor for Batman. He's kind of like again, like with the Charles Muntz of it all, Dragon. He's kind of like the perverse version of Zatanna.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Luca took the brain pills today. I'm impressed.
Ah, thank you.
All right. So we have this. So the action starts. He six his men on Batman. We have this really sweet roundhouse kick that Batman delivers to the henchman. Oh man, like really, really awesome like kick there. Let's see. So he takes on the rest of the henchmen, and Zatanna then appears and takes on Monty. He shoves him. Shoving time. So before Zatanna can go aid Batman in his fight, Monty grabs her, and Batman will be awesome. He flips one of the thugs, and then Kane is now holding Zatanna at kind of Kane's sword point. It's kind of like one of those old canes from the Afghan War, essentially, where you have like a little built-in blade. In this case, like a magician's blade just kind of pops out of there.
Right.
So Batman is forced to surrender, and then Kane gets all despicable here. Monty is going, says, Zatanna, I could be persuaded to spare your life if properly implored. And then, of course, her response to this, very skeezy indeed.
She just jams her heel right into his foot.
Yeah, like, oh, no go, Zatanna. Yeah, he deserved that though. All right, so now they're on to the next death trap. Basically, now they're going to share a fate. Batman and Zatanna into the next death trap to get rid of them. So Batman and Zatanna, they're chained together in a lock that not even Zatara could escape. That's some big praise there, because we saw how good Zatara was. They taught Batman all the tricks of the trade here. Not even the great Zatara, and I love this. And this is what's so interesting about Montague for like the one-off episode they has is all reverence for the departed. Again, he's honoring Zatara by using the death trap. So he's using it to kill his daughter, mind you, but still he's like trying to pay homage to the deceased here.
Right.
It's like the idea he admired Zatara as a magician. And again, he stole his tricks and everything, but he admired him.
Right, so Batman, he pulls the ultimate, do you trust me? Aladdin, eat your heart out!
Yeah! Year before, well, actually, no, it was probably the year. It doesn't matter. Point being, yes, he will trust. I keep forgetting. It's season 2.
Do you trust me, Zatanna? Importantly, that of course sparks something in her. She knows who this is. It's John Smith. It's blonde Adonis Mel Gibson Dragon.
God. There's so many Disney references this episode.
I know.
All right. Okay, so the point being, we have this. It's a really nice bit too. Where he's asking, like, hold my hand. This is like, I know I'm scared too. Let me try to get it right here. So let's see. So the part, basically, it's framed. Even if you two could loosen the chains, it's going to be too late by the time you're going to hit the water. By the time you do that, so they're being prepared to be ejected from the cargo hatch. Batman cleverly he's hidden some lockpicks in his gloves, which he has before, and we have this really great. Trust me zone that you just mentioned, and of course the big John Smith tip-off, which earns a trust. And let's see. So then the two pick the locks as they're about to go off there. But it was a nice comforting moment between him and Zatanna too. Like, I know, it's okay to be scared. Essentially, it's what she says. Like, it's okay to hold my hand too. It's like, yeah, it's pretty exciting. But anyways, then we have the big trust moment. So, they pick the locks, and Batman cleverly snags his foot on, like, the giant kind of like net that's in all aircraft carriers. Like, if they're carrying cargo, it's kind of a safety precaution sometimes. Basically, he snags his foot on the way out as they're shoved out of the thing. Really great, as they're buying time to pick the lock so they can hang on for dear life and climb their way out of there. Really good. So the two are hanging for their lives, and then they free themselves. Monty's impressed for a moment. He's like, "Oh, what do you know?" It's like, it's impossible.
I love how he uses his little cane knife thing to start cutting the net.
Yep, so two are free, but they're hanging from a net that's being cut slowly but surely. Batman's then using the chain they were bound with, use it to wrap up Kane's cane and drag him down, hoisted on his own petard. So now, basically, these men are shooting at the net, and of course, like, stop firing, you fools!
And Dragon, according to Amazon, by the way, Bruce Timm is the redheaded goon in this episode. Yeah, what do you know? Fun fact. Anyways,
he does a lot of scratching in this case. Really,
yeah.
That makes sense. That tracks. All right, so let's see. So he's hanging. So basically, now he's hanging onto the net as well. Let's see. So Batman and Zatanna, they kind of jump onto like one of the wings, one of the levels, like a kind of a 2-level job here, I think. Jumping onto a thing, a part of the landing gear, I think. Then Batman grapples to the wing of the plane. Now there's something on the wing in the shape of a bat, and it's Batman.
Oh God!
Now they're on the wing of the plane. Kane then he's after his henchman kind of rescued him, pulled him aboard. Now Kane is in the cockpit, and he's basically swerving the plane, just trying to shake him off. Which, of course, leads to a propeller problem for Batman and Zatanna. It's like, oh god, they're going to be blended in the propeller. Oh, what a horrible way to go. What are they going to do? So Batman then, awesomely, he manually steers the plane from the outside by just basically taking, like, little flaps. Right. Basically, if you take the flaps of the plane, they're kind of built in there for, like, for the turns and everything. He's basically steering against it.
That is, like, one of the most clever Batman things I've seen him do in a while on this show, honestly.
Yeah. So let's see. So the men are going to. So now the men are going to mix it up with Batman with axes and wrenches.
Oh God.
So thankfully,
as you do.
So the two goons, they basically fall off the plane, thankfully into water again, because it wasn't really dark if they fell off. I mean, presumably they fell to a demise, but they fell in the water. We don't see them get out though. We don't know. It wasn't, better than throw them off. They fell off that plane because these guys aren't that smart going out to fight somebody on the wing of a plane. Never a good idea. Anyway, so then Zatanna, she gets the big knockout punch of the episode there, where she says, the magician never does the same trick twice. And he's like, bam, just knocks him out, which leads Kane to get arrested. Zatanna's exonerated, happy ending, but then Dini, a little cessant of just great stuff here. Great, kind of full circle storytelling here with the big conversation between the now realized John Smith and then Zatanna, essentially 10 to 12 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice goodbye scene here where it says, "You never wrote. I meant to. I meant to write." And so I know. I love how comforting you never have this conversation, where you never see this conversation handled this way. Like, I know, I get it. You've been busy. I can see him. She can see how he's been busy. Batman.
Yeah.
I love how intimate it is again. It says, "That's okay. You've been busy." And it's just one question, though. And this, guys, what melts my heart here. So we're Dini again. He's getting a little bit of heart and ice territory. A little bit.
Oh, yeah.
What happened that made you put this on? Of course, there's like one of the ultimate Batman moments here. Is like when I'm thinking Batman, it's like it always boils down to this: a painful memory and a promise. It's like it's always the promise and the vow. It's like what he said to Andrea Beaumont in Phantasm. It's like I made a vow. It's like, yes, that's my guy right there. That's the character. Yes. It always boils down to the promise. It's a man keeping a promise.
So Zatanna says she thinks she's keeping the promise pretty well, and she thinks that his dad will be proud of him. And then Dragon, she pulls a magician's exit on him, vanishes into a puff of pink smoke, and she's gone.
Yes. Now, real quick, also, it's like her father would be proud of him too. It's like that Zatanna would have been proud of him.
Did I say his father? My
yeah,
bad.
You said his father. I just wanted to be clear because it was the
my bad.
Perfectly fine. Again, the point is that a lot of I love the Zatanna love, and again, the Zatanna factors in each three scenes as well. That's the kind of cool thing. Anyway, kind of give you a ride. Disappears, pulls the bad exit on him, but she leaves him a gift. Tiki. It was the gift.
Mm. Oh God, sorry, I had a mouthful of Red Bull. Jesus Christ. The gift is a poster of Zatanna, the Mistress of Magic, Zatanna, the Mistress of Magic, saying, let's see how good I can read handwriting. John, I hate goodbyes too. Love, Xana. P.S. Don't forget to write.
Yeah, and then Batman gives kind of a nod, and then the episode's over.
Kind of like a bittersweet smile.
Yes, wonderful. And that's the episode.
All right. So final thoughts, Dragon. Like I said, I don't necessarily think this is like. If we were doing this on tiers, like I think this is probably like lower A tier and not top tier of season 2. It's it's a really solid episode. It's got a lot of interesting backstory to it. The flashback's really well fleshed out, and I like the angle of Bruce Wayne, basically being an apprentice under a magician. Really interesting sort of backstory there. And I do like the one-off villain that we get, and I like the fact that Pepper's ghost is basically the main plot device. So there's a lot to like about this episode. It's like I said, I just don't think it's I wouldn't put it in like the top 5 Dini episodes that we've seen so far or anything like that. It's probably, honestly, Dragon's probably on the lower rung of Dini stuff, but that's just because Dini basically every time he writes, he knocks it out of the park in this show for the most part from what I've seen. So this is still a knockout. It's just maybe not completely out of the park. It's like a home run, not a grand slam. You know what I mean? But still, it's a solid home run. It's a good episode. I like it a lot. All right.
Right. Final thoughts for me. Again, this is Paul Dini's specialty. Getting into Bruce Wayne's head with a nice look into his past via kind of the fun character of Zatanna. It's let me put it this way. I'm not going to. it's not Dini's finest hour in pretty much the way that you said it, in the sense of, again, like we've seen his finest hour, man. We've seen it with Heart of Ice
Sure,
and all,
sure.
all that sort of stuff, which is tremendous. But again, this is more of a character introduction and a one-off for like Zatanna. And again, it was kind of like what we're gonna do. It's kind of unique. And, throw in another character and you do some stuff like that, kind of explore Batman through kind of the eyes of another character, so that makes sense. A little world traveling aspect of it via flashback. So flashback is like that's kind of that's the apex of the episode for me. Is kind of the runner of that angle. So that's really where the strength of the episode is overall for me. It's again, it's nice to it gives us an insight into another woman, that kind of from Bruce Wayne's love life, which is also kind of nice there too. It's a fun episode at heart. And, it's pretty straightforward, nice. Again, not like a top 10er, but it's a very solid one. Again, pretty much what season 2 was all about. It's kind of getting to these fun kind of like insight episodes as they were, these fun little character driven episodes that really just kind of like sometimes get lost in the shuffle of the animated series, but they're really quite nice.
All right, Dragon, give us your bulldozer.
Car trouble for the Batman. A sabotage most foul. Can Batman and Robin defeat a running Penguin tradition? Or will drive-thru be off the table for good? Tune in next time and find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with the Mechanic. Don't get too thin, Christian Bale.